afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the December 5th regular council meeting. I will be chairing the meeting as the mayor has advised council that she will be absent until December 18th. So with that being said, I will go ahead and call the meeting to order at 1 o'clock. And we will start with acknowledgement of Indigenous peoples. The town of Rocky Mountain House wishes to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is Treaty 6 territory and a traditional meeting ground and home for many Indigenous peoples, including the Blackfoot, Cree, Saulteaux, Stoney, and Métis. So to start, we have a public hearing. It is a public hearing for the MR land disposal of 0.54 acres on Lot 2, MR Block 1, Plan 8322979. I hereby declare the public hearing for disposal of 0.54 acres of MR land, Lot 2MR, Block 1, Plan 8322979 in the town of Rocky Mountain House open. This public hearing is being convened pursuant to the Section 230 of the Municipal Government Act in order to consider the disposal of MR land. At this hearing, the public will be allowed to make representations to council, and all persons present who wish to speak on the proposed disposal of MR land shall be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard or to present written submissions respecting matters contained in the proposed bylaw. Comments and contents of all emails or letters received become part of the public record as well as this public hearing, which is being live streamed. Those who present may address council by clearly stating your name and address. Then you may give us the benefit of your views concerning the proposed disposal. Should council require clarification on any issue raised by the public, council will call on the staff to further clarify the matter. The staff's comments will be limited to technical matters and should not be construed as support for or in opposition of the MR land disposal. The main function of council members today is to listen to the views of the public. It is not the function of council at this public hearing to debate the merits of the proposed MR disposal with individual citizens. Everyone shall be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard at this meeting. No one will be or should feel discouraged or prevented from making their views heard. I would like to now ask administration to speak on the proposed disposal of the MR lands.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Good afternoon, Council. The town of Rocky Mountain House has been approached for the disposal of MR land located at the corner of Highway 11 and 42nd Avenue. Legal address would be Lot 2MR, Block 1, Plan 8322979. The developer's intention is to consolidate the MR with the possible purchase of a highway commercial property to the south of the MR. A sign was posted on site indicating the public hearing for the MR disposal today, December 5th. 2 weeks of the public notice hearing was in the local paper and on the town website. The MR is located in the Environmental Open Space District in our LUB, which allows permitted uses of parks and natural environment areas and discretionary uses of public utility building and public utility. Funds from the sale of the MR would be allocated into a cash in lieu reserve account earmarked for parkland and recreation.
Thank you. Has any correspondence or written submissions been received for the proposed disposal of the MR land?
There has been none, Deputy Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone present who would like to speak on the proposed disposal of the MR land? I don't think there's anybody here for that today. Does council have any technical questions for administration? Okay, so then can I please have a motion to close the public hearing for the proposed disposal of the MR land? Councillor Phillips.
I will make a motion to close the public hearing.
Thank you. Any debate on that motion? None. So I'll call that to a vote. Those in favor? None opposed. That is carried. Thank you. Okay, so adoption of the agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda today? Okay, so I'm looking for a motion to accept. Councillor Schipel?
Also make the motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Thank you. So I'll call that to a vote. Those in favor? And none opposed. That's carried. So we have two delegations here today, the first of which is with Community Futures Central Alberta, Kelly Kierluck. Hopefully I said that right. You go right ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and thank you, esteemed council members, for having me here to discuss with you the Community Futures Central Alberta program. My name's Kelly Kurluck, and I am the General Manager of Community Futures Central Alberta. Our office is located in Red Deer, and we're very grateful to have representation from the Town of Rocky Mountain House through Councillor Leonard Phillips, who is part of our board of directors. So thank you for your contributions and for being part of the success of our program. I think I can use the mouse here. There we go. A little bit about Community Future Central Alberta. We are a nonprofit organization run by a locally appointed board of directors. And our purpose and our mandate is economic development through support of entrepreneurship, economic stability and job growth through the creation and the expansion of small businesses, which in turn is the creation of jobs within our region. We offer flexible and affordable small business loans, as well as coaching, training, advisory services to entrepreneurs. The Community Futures Program is a federal program funded by the Government of Canada. There are 27 offices located in rural Alberta, and there are 269 offices in Canada. The local Community Futures office serving Central Alberta has been operating for over 30 years, and we employ 5 full-time staff. And again, like I said, we're guided by a board of directors comprised of a mix of appointed elected officials as well as members at large. Our Central Alberta region, as you can see in this map, is quite large. We serve a population of just under 200,000 people, and our borders run all the way west to Nordegg, and as you can see in the map, our borders are quite large. Just south of Carstairs, we serve 2 First Nations, Ochese and Sunchild First Nations, and we go east just past Penhold to Pine Lake, as you can see. Our programs and services, we offer 3 pillars of services: economic development projects, lending, as well as business advisory services. Our small business loans range up to $150,000. We do make exceptions for loans exceeding that amount, and our purpose of our loans are for starting businesses, business expansions, purchases of new businesses, or buying existing or franchises as well. The Community Futures lending program does not compete with banks. We work in partnership with banks to leverage capital in order to see success for small businesses. We've offered over the years some unique lending programs that have been funded through various sources. We administered, similar to the CEBA loans, which you may be familiar with, the Regional Relief and Recovery Loan Program, which was a program to support rural business owners through COVID-19. And we continue to administer those loans through to the end of 2026, when that program ends. Through the provincial government, we administer the Alberta Women's Economic Recovery Capital Growth Initiative for female entrepreneurs with flexible repayment terms. And our core lending also offers flexible loans to youth entrepreneurs as well as entrepreneurs with disabilities. Our 2022-2023 fiscal year ending March 31st, the impact that our office has benefited the Central Alberta region. We administered 14 new loans to new loan clients in the amount of $624,000 through our lending and advisory services. There were 71 jobs either created, maintained, or expanded through those services. Our training session participants were 416 throughout our region. We provided 452 advisory services to clients within our region. We engaged in 14 community-based projects with our various partners, and we have 16 continuing and ongoing community-based projects, and we serve 671 clients. Our current loan portfolio that we are administering is just under 1.5 million. Oh, and there is no pie chart. Sorry. There is a pie chart that was included in the presentation. The loans by municipalities include 17 loans in Red Deer, 1 in Innisfil, 1 Penhold, 2 in Bowden, 3 in Olds, 2 in Sylvan Lake, 2 in Rocky Mountain House, and 3 in Lacombe County. I'm sorry that visual didn't show up on the presentation. Our COVID relief loans that we are currently administering through the Regional Relief and Recovery Program are just over 5 million. And that graphic didn't show up as well. The breakdown for those loans are 76 loans in Red Deer, 2 in Leslieville, 5 in Penhold, 6 Didsbury, 10 in Carstairs, 11 in Sundre, 11 in Rocky Mountain House, 11 in Innisfil, 17 in Red Deer County, 19 Sylvan Lake, and 20 in Olds. Our programs and services include the Entrepreneurs with Disabilities program, which is a program to offer value-added coaching to overcome any barriers that entrepreneurs with disabilities might face. We offer the Digital Service Squad program, which is a free program funded by the provincial government, assisting business owners with their online presence and digital tools to enhance their business and online presence. We offer the Catalyst Early Stage Incubator, which focuses on technology-based businesses as well as value-added agriculture. And we also sponsor and participate in the Rotary Alberta Entrepreneur Youth Camp. Some previous programs that we've seen great success are business succession planning and matching, the Mascasieu Indigenous Women's Startup Program, which was facilitated out of the Asokuin Friendship Center here in Rocky Mountain House, and also the Smart Start Entrepreneur Program. Our partners within our region are the Central Alberta Regional Innovation Network, which is funded by Alberta Innovates. We partner with the municipalities in our region and in the economic development officers who work in our region. Alberta Innovates, Olds College, Chambers of Commerce, Prairies Economic Development Canada, Business Link, Central Alberta Economic Partnership, Government of Alberta, Red Deer Polytechnic, our banks and financial institutions who we partner with, and Rotary clubs. Our board is comprised of 7 individuals with a combined membership representing Clearwater County, Sylvan Lake, Rocky Mountain House, Penhold, Red Deer, Didsbury, and Jarvis Bay. The role of the board is to establish our organization's priorities, monitor our performance, and be accountable to key stakeholders such as our local, provincial, and federal governments. So that's a little bit about our program. Our financial statements were included in the package as well. So we manage assets. Our portfolio of assets is around $10 million that the board oversees. And any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Does council have any questions? Councillor Phillips.
Just a comment, just to add on to Kelly's presentation. The success rate for businesses that use Community Futures is higher than the traditional banking system.
Mm-hmm. The 5-year success rate, I don't know the statistics off the top of my head, but the 5-year statistics for success for a startup business, I think is around the 50 to 60 mark. And we significantly improve that 5-year success by about 20% through our services and the support that we offer startups.
Nice.
So that's through business planning and setting them up for success and giving them the access to capital that they need to be successful.
That's great. It's a wonderful program. Do we have any other questions? Councillor Hutchinson.
How do we get more presence in our community? It's kind of a hard question. It's not coming out the right way, but
Yeah.
But how do we see you more and get more involvement into our businesses and just
Yeah.
reaching out there to the public?
That is a hard question to answer because there's 5 of us and we have a geographical area that covers most of Central Alberta. So through partnerships and through communication with people like EDOs like Jeff, and having them aware of our services, Obviously, some of our programs, we like to have outreach within our communities, not just in Red Deer. So the Maskasiu program, the Indigenous Women program was an ideal, Rocky Mountain House was an ideal location for a partnership. So it's basically just awareness and letting clients and municipalities and our service organizations who support the ecosystem that supports business, it's awareness and letting them know that we're here to help them. Even though our office is located in Red Deer, we try to be as mobile as possible to meet the needs of our clients.
Perfect. Does anybody else have any questions? Oh, sorry.
Oh, just
Counselor
just a-
Hutchinson.
A follow-up on that.
Sure.
So, do we, to take steps forward, do we just invite you to come, do public presentations? Or is it our EDO that's pounding the pavement saying, Community Futures can offer this? Or is it something that you come with our EDO to businesses? What's
Absolutely,
that
we
kinda
can do
look
that.
like?
And I think in the past, through our Digital Service Squad program, we have had some outreach with businesses on the main street to let them know who our services are, and we've made those connections through Jeff. The other thing too is like when a business comes to start, the first place they stop is with the municipality and in the town to get their business license or to get their, whatever they require to start their business. And essentially just letting them know that we're here and we have those programs to assist them. Another partner that supports what we do and is sort of a referral for Community Futures is our banking partners. So when a client comes into a bank or a financial institution for their startup loan, let's say, and perhaps their business plan or their financials don't fit within the box of that lending institution, we're an alternative to financing. So we see a lot of clients through referrals through banks as well, because we sort of bridge that gap to set them up so that they can be bankable down in the future. Without historical financial results, sometimes lending institutions don't like to lend outside of their parameters. We're more flexible with our loans, so that's an excellent way for us to assist clients in municipalities is through networking within our banking partners as well. So, yeah, I mean, without having, we don't have an office in Rocky, unfortunately. I'd love to be able to have an office in all of our municipalities, but it's awareness and letting businesses know who we are. We have a internal marketing campaign where we'll be reaching out within our municipalities and our communities. We're a member of the Rocky Chamber, so we like to be active in the community as much as we can.
Go ahead. So the success stories, are they available? Like, can we
Yep.
Use that as
Absolutely.
these things happened and help promote what you guys do through the success stories?
Yeah, so part of our new marketing strategy, we do have success stories on our website. If you go on our website, you will see some success stories, and we do plan on implementing a marketing strategy within our entire Central Alberta region to tap into our success stories. And we have some really good ones in Rocky Mountain House who have run through our Catalyst program and who have received our loan funds as well. So, we can tap into those success stories, and that is part of our strategy coming up.
Perfect. Anybody else? Well, thank you so much for your time today and for your presentation.
Thank you for having me.
It was great having you here and great information that you shared. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
You as well. Thanks.
So we have another delegation for today, Mr. Tony Brooks. Welcome.
Thank you. I don't have a PowerPoint, so excuse me for that. That's pretty impressive.
What brings you here today?
Well, good afternoon, Deputy Mayor, Council. As you know, my name is Tony Brooks, and I'm sitting in front of Council today for two reasons, two issues that I have. Both of them involve the Eco Center, and both of them involve having to pay extra fees for taking items to the Eco Center. My family and I have been residents of Rocky Mountain House for 16 years now. We reside in Old Town, just on the southwest part of town. And we're bordered on the north and the east by homes, and then on the west and the south by trees, and then North Saskatchewan River too, on the west. So prior to discussing these two items of concern, I just wanted to share some of my background, just to lend some credence to the fact that I know I'm knowledgeable about this fact and I know what I'm talking about. So I'm a retired Fish and Wildlife officer with 34 years of experience, and a large part of my job duties included the capture of problem wildlife, including black bears, grizzly bears, cougars, and wolves. From 2000 to 2002, I worked in Hinton. That was one of my postings before coming to Rocky Mountain House. And for 2 years straight, I worked on the grizzly bear recovery program. And all we did for 2 years is capture grizzly bears and process them, so collar them, blood samples, tooth samples. And then we would release them again. And how we used to catch them is that we used baited traps and leg snares. Everything was based on bait and the smell of bait to bring these bears in so we could capture them. Once I finished in Rocky, I was transferred to, Hinton, I was transferred to Rocky Mountain House. And I worked in Rocky from 2007 to 2019 as the district officer. And each year in town, we'd receive between 3 to 4 complaints from residents in town complaining about grizzly bears, black bears, and cougars in town. And of course, like I mentioned, the North Saskatchewan River borders Old Town. And so that is considered a travel corridor for wildlife. And we've kind of, when I was still working, we monitored the travel patterns, and the North Saskatchewan River was a huge travel corridor for wildlife. We've had in Old Town and in town, we've had black bears, grizzly bears, red fox, and cougars frequent that Old Town area. In fact, we had a bear in our backyard last year, a black bear, and we had cougars and fox in our backyard. During my tenure with Fish and Wildlife, I've captured in excess of 400 bears and about 20 cougars. All the animals captured were using various types of baits, and that we were capturing by the use of the bait and the smell of the bait. The stinker of the bait, the better. So in addition to my field experience with Fish and Wildlife, I've also taught, or I teach, a bear awareness course that helps train individuals to prevent human-bear conflicts through the management of food attractants and, of course, other topics, including involved with bears. So when it comes to the subjects of how wildlife can be attracted by food smells, I believe I can be considered as a field matter expert. I've had enough experience in that matter, and doing it for 34 years, I think I know how it works. So that's some background. So the first issue that I have is that back in June of 2023, so this past summer, my relatives and I, we had a good day of fishing at a local lake, and we came home, we cleaned our fish, we double bagged the offal and the carcasses the day that we caught the fish, and I put them in the green bin like we were told to do. Unfortunately, I put them in the green bin the day after it was picked up. So I put them on a Tuesday. By Thursday, the smell was so bad in the bin that when I exited the house, and we keep our bin in the front part of the house, and when I exited the front part of the house on our deck, I could smell it. It was that bad, like it was rank. We have a long driveway, and I walked down the end of the driveway, and I could still smell it. So to prevent the smell of rotting fish from attracting any type of wildlife, and I'm talking about the bears and cougars and coyotes and fox, but also domestic dogs and cats that have been known to frequent the area and our yard as well. I took it to the Eco Center. The bag was about this big around. So I took it to the Eco Center, and when I arrived, I was told I had to pay a $3 surcharge. I tried to explain to the employee that the reason I was bringing it was to reduce the smell from attracting wildlife in the area. He just basically said, well, I'm sorry, but that's a bylaw. I don't have any say in it. So I said, okay, I understand that. Shortly after my experience at the Eco Center, I met with CEO Kraus in his office here, and we talked about the possibility of changing the bylaw. And could there be a possibility of allowing any type of garbage that would attract wildlife, like stinky garbage, fish, whatever it could be, bring it to the Eco Center free of charge, and be proactive about that, bringing stinky garbage and so forth to the Eco Center. CEO Kraus mentioned that he would bring it in front of council in November. And I hadn't heard anything back, so I called him over the phone, and he had mentioned to me that he had brought it for the council, and council said, sorry, but bottom line is he can still use the green bin. So I wasn't really happy with that, and that's why I'm here today. I was hoping to talk to council about that. So here's the issue. If I was to leave that bag of fish in the green bin, the smell from the rotting fish could attract bears or couriers that travel through Rocky Mountain House and Old Town area, which creates an unsafe environment for the residents. So in addition to that, I read through the waste management bylaw, and section 5.8E mentions no person shall place, permit to place, or mix any of the following materials into the waste material, which is the black bin, or the organic material collection cart, which is the green bin. There's a bunch of items, but at the end it says dead animals or animal parts. So it says that I can't put in the bin, in the green bin. Now, fish are invertebrates, which means they're considered animals, so that fits within that category of dead animals or animal parts. So if I was to follow the recommendation of town council to discard the fish remains in the green bin, basically I'd be breaking the law, contravention of that bylaw. So I have an issue with that because I've spent my whole career trying to convince people to be proactive and to prevent smells in their yards, anything or any food attractants like barbecues and sunflower seed, bird seed, smelly garbage, stuff like that. To be proactive and get rid of that stuff and clean everything up. And so I do that, and I'm charged $3 to do it. So that's my issue. So my recommendation is that the town take a proactive approach by amending the bylaws to allow residents to take garbage or compost to the eco center free of charge if the smell of the garbage or compost gets to the point where it could become a wildlife or domestic animal attractant. Now, if there's a concern by council that people may try to take advantage of the change by bringing in truckloads of garbage, then I would put a cap on it of something like maybe 1 bag per day per household or 2 bags per day per household. Something that would allow people to be proactive about trying to keep stinky garbage or compost out of their yards, but still be able to take it to the eco center free of charge. Okay, so that's my first issue. So the second issue revolves around the issue of some background. Is that in August of 2023, I was doing some repairs on my fence in the backyard, and there was a piece of 4 foot by 4 foot plywood that the previous owners had put on there. It was rotten, it had mold on it, fungus growing, it was kind of waterlogged, so I wanted to get rid of that and put up proper boards. So it was in a state that I couldn't cut it up, because it wouldn't be safe to cut up with the mold and everything on it. And plus it's waterlogged and it's not good for the saw, so I didn't do it. So I took it to the eco center and he said, sorry, that'll be $3. So I paid the $3 because I had no place to put it. So the piece of plywood was too large to fit in the black bin or the green bin. I couldn't cut it up, and plus I remember that when we first got these bins, there was a little notice on the bins that said, everything that goes in this bin has to be bagged. And so my question is, how do I put a 4 foot by 4 foot piece of plywood in a bag that doesn't fit in the bin? So that was my issue with that. In addition to that, I read through the bylaw again, and section 5.15 states, any waste material that requires special handling, such as, and there's a number of items on there, including construction waste, and construction waste includes, in the definition under that bylaw, includes lumber. So it shall not be placed in the collection cart, and if it's placed in the collection cart, it shall not be picked up by the collection contractor. Then again, another issue is that 5.8D states no person shall place, permit to place, or mix any of the following materials into the waste material or organic material collection carts. Quite a few different things it mentions in there, but it also includes building materials and construction waste. So I can't put it in the green bin and I can't put it in the black bin. Section 6.5D states, no person shall place, permit to be placed, or dispose of the following materials at the eco center, which includes building materials or construction waste. So I'm kind of damned if I do and damned if I don't. I can't put it in the cart. If I put it in the truck and take it to the eco center, the law says I can't dispose of it there. So what do I do with these materials? I'm in town. I think I should be able to have access, and the bylaw says that I have use and access to the eco center if I pay the $27.50 a month, which we do. but I can get there, but I'm not supposed to, I can't deposit or dispose of it. So what do I do with it? So my recommendation to the town for this issue is that the town should amend the bylaw to allow residents to take items that are too large to fit in the black or green bins to the eco center free of charge. Because like I said, what do you do with it? You can't put it in the bin. The construction or the contractor's not supposed to take it if it's in the bin. And when I take it to the eco center, I'm not supposed to be able to deposit it. So number one, I should be able to take it to the eco center, and the bylaw should be changed to allow residents to take it to the eco center. So those are my two issues. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone on council have any questions or anything for Mr. Brooks? Okay. Well, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for coming in today.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks. Oh, do I have time for one more thing, or is this done? It's the same issue, just like one thing I forgot to mention.
Sure.
Okay. I'll be quick. Sorry, I forgot to mention it
That's
in my
okay.
notes, is that when I was doing some research this morning on the pickup of the, in our taxes, we pay $27.50 a month to have those two bins picked up. Now, when I was thinking through it, there's been several times throughout the last year or 2 years that the truck hasn't arrived on the Wednesday and sometimes not even that week to pick up the black bins. And so, in regards to this, when I was reading this, it was a pet peeve, is that when I was reading this, it says you pay the $27.50, but if the truck doesn't pick it up that week, that means I'm paying $6.80 a week for that truck to come pick it up. But if it doesn't pick up, I don't get reimbursed for that $6.80. But if I take something to the dump, I have to pay $3 a bag to do it. So I just wanted to bring that in front of council too, is that there's a little bit of discrepancy as to, we don't get reimbursed if it doesn't get picked up, but if we take it there, we have to pay for it. So that's all I wanted to mention.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, so moving along here, we have adoption of previous minutes. Did the minutes from the last meeting look okay to everybody? Okay, looking for a motion then. Counselor Alt,
I'll make the motion to adopt the draft regular council minutes from November 21st, 2023.
okay, any discussion on the motion? None, I'll call that to a vote. Those in favor and none opposed, that is carried. And delegation business, so 7.1, Community Future Central Alberta with Kelly Kierluck. Any discussion on that, Councillor Hutchinson?
Not discussion, but just a comment that I would like to see more presence, not necessarily of them, but if there's somehow that we can put it forward to the public of the opportunities that Community Futures does have for businesses in town, and maybe for us to explore some ways to, or that might be through the chamber. I'm not sure what the direction is to do that, but even once we change over to our governance and policy committees, where there's going to be the actual committee meetings that we attend, and maybe more coming from the attendance of the meeting, just to bring more awareness, because I think it's a great program and something that we should be taking advantage of more.
I agree. Councillor Alt?
I just have a comment for Len. Do you think the Community Futures is underutilized in Central Alberta, or do you think it's?
I believe, yes, it is underutilized throughout Central Alberta, not just Rocky, but everywhere. It does have so many different things that they can do for a business. Just simple things like the digital service squad, the fact that, they have such a much higher success rate of when they give out loans than a traditional bank does. And the reason for that is because of all the background and the support that they give these businesses to allow them to succeed. So yes, I believe it is definitely underutilized for sure.
Just a follow-up question then for admin. Do we have, when we have businesses coming in to relocate to town, do we have that information handy to provide to these businesses?
Counselor Ald, we do have that information available through Jeff downstairs.
Okay.
There's brochures that he can't hand out. Whether my staff or whatever, I guess that we gotta be a little more due diligent in regarding handing that out when new businesses do come in. If they ask the proper questions, we'll give the information to them.
Perfect, thank you.
That's great. Counselor Phillips.
Also in my council report, in this package, there is a couple of brochures from Community Futures with QR codes that will have more information as well.
Thank you. So, Mr. Kraus, sorry, we're looking for a motion now for 7.1, and then we'll do another one for 7.2 after. Okay, thank you. Counselor Phillips.
I will make a motion to accept item 7.1 as information.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? See none, we'll call that to a vote. Those in favor and none opposed, that is carried. So delegation business 7.2, from what we heard with Mr. Tony Brooks. So that is kind of an interesting one. I would be kind of curious, because it does sound like there is some discrepancy in our waste bylaw. Maybe it is something that we should revisit and just look at again and make sure that everything is kind of making sense there. Councillor Alt?
I agree with you. If there is some discrepancies in that bylaw as to what we're asking the community to do and then what the bylaw states differently, I'd have to do some research on what his exact examples were, but he brought up a couple of really good points as far as we are Rocky Mountain House, we're on the border of all the can be mean and nasty critters. I don't know exactly how we would address his issues, but he does make some pretty good points, like we're trying to keep the bears specifically out of Rocky, how we go about doing that and still keeping everything aligned with our waste reduction strategy. And it would be interesting to see if we could have some kind of a bin for that, like Rocky Mountain House. Everybody, not everybody, but majority of the people come here to hunt, fish, trap, and to be able to dispose of the byproducts properly might take some more investigation.
Councillor Hutchinson, and then I'll go to Councillor Phillips.
I think the thing that we have to remember is what's the definition of our eco-center? It's not a dump, and that the dump service is available for carcasses or animal parts, things like that. The construction waste is another one that the Clearwater County has the dump, and that this is an eco-center, which isn't a dump. And that's something that we've talked about, educating our residents on what goes there. I mean, if we had a hunter and had killed a deer, and where does that go? Well, you take it to the dump. It doesn't go to an eco-center. So it's just kind of my thoughts on it.
Councillor Phillips.
Yes, thank you. I think this is, a big enough topic that maybe this is a discussion that we should have at a GPC meeting, either in January or February or something like that, and have some information brought back to that. One of them would be to ask Empringham, is this a problem? Like, is this a one-off, or do we have multiple people that are trying to do this or have the same problem? And then to also look at our bylaw, specifically section 5.80, 5.15, and 6.5, as Mr. Brooks brought up, those three parts of our bylaw are kind of, if it is contravening what we're talking about, maybe we need to look at our bylaw as well. And I know there are large bins at the Eco Center now, and is that used for larger items? I would assume that it is, because that's what those large bins are for. But maybe it's just a discussion that we need to have at a GPC meeting, and just to kind of flush it out and see what we have going on here.
Thank you. Counselor Schipul?
I agree with Councillor Auld on this. I think that we're sort of on the cusp of having all this stuff. And so Mr. Brooks brought up several points that I think need to be investigated. One is the animal parts, and if our bylaw needs to be reworked, that needs to be reworked. His item about a half a sheet of plywood, what do you do with that? I found that kind of interesting. What do you do with that sheet of plywood or half a sheet of plywood? How do we get rid of that? If our bins, if we're not supposed to put construction waste in a bin, and we don't have no place at the Eco Center for it, what does a citizen of Rocky do with a piece of 2x4 or anything like that? So I'd just like to get clarity on that as well. And do we have any versatility at the Eco Center on the $3 charge, or is the bylaw say regardless of what you bring, it's $3, or do we give our people there or Amperingham any versatility in saying, hey, this is a reasonable request, we'll waive the fee?
Mr. Gross?
And thank you, Deputy Mayor. No, so it's a $3 charge to bring any waste through. So there is no versatility there for that. And yeah, you're right. I mean, we need to look at the bylaw, but you have to, and we'll bring that report back to council if council so wishes, but you got to really look at the intent of the bylaw too. So construction waste, I think the intent of the bylaw is like if you demo a whole bathroom or something, that's construction waste. I don't think the intent is for a piece of 2x4 or a small piece of plywood, but we'll review that and bring it back for council's consideration.
Okay, thank you. Looking for a motion then, I think, to move on. Counselor Phillips?
Yes, I'd be happy to make a motion, just directing administration to bring back to a GPC meeting in the new year. The items brought up by Mr. Brooks, specifically 5.8E, 5.15, and 6.15 in our bylaw, just to look to make sure that, I know this is a long motion, just to review the bylaw.
Thank you for your motion. Do we have any discussion on the motion? Counselor Schipul?
Yeah, just another comment to that motion would be to look at the waste items that he referred to, because the bylaw, even if we correct those sections of bylaw, it may still not tackle the other items that he spoke of. So I'd just like to encompass all of his conversation into that bylaw, if I could, or you could.
I think the motion, is looking at the bylaw, which will encompass a holistic approach or a holistic conversation
whole
about the topic at hand. I would think that we're going to talk about what to do with dead fish guts and all that kind of stuff as well.
Clear as mud? No, I'm just kidding. Counselor Hutchinson?
Just off-topic comment, but it's really hard from this distance to see the print on there. And we've got a motion, if we could, I know something's new than what we normally have. It would be appreciated for some of us at this end.
Counselor Phillips, do you mind just re-saying what your motion is, please?
Yes. I am just waiting for that too. My motion is, there we go, to instruct administration to bring back to a GPC meeting the topic of waste discussed today.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, so I'll call that to a vote. Those in favor and unopposed, that is carried. Thank you. So moving on, we're moving on to old business, RFD MR land disposal. We have Mr. Schwader here with us today.
I won't say a whole lot more about the MR. Just that the town was approached by a developer inquiring about disposing of 0.54 acres of lot 2 MR, Block 1, Plan 8322979. A total amount of acres was 2.16 acres in that lot. Sign was posted on site, advertised for 2 weeks. As far as falling under the strat plan of council, they would fall under the goal of building our local economy with development and increased tax base for the community. Financial, no cost to the town. Developer has been notified that they are responsible for the survey costs, subdivision and consolidation costs, and legal fees for the purchase of the land. Funds of the sale of the MR would be allocated to cash in lieu reserve account earmarked for recreation and parkland. Subject to any comments from the public hearing, administration is recommending the disposal of the MR land.
Thank you, Mr. Schwader. Counselor Schiffel.
Deputy Mayor, if you allow me. Question, we're dealing with two owners now. We have an owner that owns it and then a conditional purchase offer on the land adjacent. What if the sale doesn't happen? Would this be conditional on a sale? Because we're dealing with a possible purchaser who's asked to have this MR to buy. So I'm just wondering how that's going to meld together in the end. So if it falls apart, to make sure that we don't lose that MR, or is there a condition in there? Or how do you foresee that coming together to ensure that a sale occurs and of the property, and then a sale occurs of the MR at the same time, or something relative to that? If you can just give me clarity on that.
Sure. As far as the MR, like, we can dispose of the MR as far as a motion today. In regards to the legal side of it between the two entities, that would be our requirement in regards to purchasing the land, that would have verification that they purchased the land to proceed with the survey and consolidation.
Counselor Schiffel.
Would that, sorry, Deputy Mayor, would that be part and parcel of a motion that we'd make then today with a condition on it that it's subject to the purchase of the property, just to ensure that we're not sitting with a piece of property that all of a sudden we have a third party owning versus the co-op? So I just want to have clarity and make sure that the two work together.
Yeah, you may do that as a council if you'd like, as a motion.
Mr.
Deputy
Coombs.
Mayor, so I think the clear point here is that the MR land does not become consolidated with the existing lot until it has to be done by an owner, just not an applicant. So if council decides to dispose of the MR land today, it would go with the owner of the land. So the current purchaser, if he purchased the land, then we would be dealing with that owner to consolidate it. If the purchase doesn't go through, with council's approval of the disposal of the MR, the current landowner could actually incorporate that. But everything will be triggered on the ownership of the land, if that makes sense. Because it'd be part of a land transfer, so, and not a separate lot for consolidation.
Counselor Schiffel.
I don't know if I said that clearly, Councilor Schiffel, or
Well,
not, but
you sort of did. I guess the fear I have here is that the application's made by a purchaser who's possibly going to purchase the lot. And so to say that the present landowner could take that over, he has not made the application. So I just want to make sure that we have process correct, that my understanding would be that for sure it should go with whoever who owns the land adjacent. But I just want to make sure that we're not dealing with two different parties, that somehow they're connected through a condition of sale of the MR to the property owner, whomever that might be. Because maybe the present property owner doesn't want that land.
that's correct. So he would not pursue to consolidate the lot. It'd be through a subdivision process. So the current landowner doesn't want the MR. If his current deal falls through, then nothing happens.
Counselor Auld.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. So, Dale, are you envisioning just having that MR lot being available to whoever wants to buy it after we do this? Is that what you're concerned about? I'm not sure I follow.
Counselor Schiffel.
That'd be correct. Because I just want to make sure that they're tied together
Yeah, okay.
and not become a separate island to itself eventually there, that then becomes another issue. So either the present landowner or the future landowner can get this MR property and we're prepared to sell it to them. I think I'd like to see a motion that has a condition that it goes to the property owner and not to a third party or anything like that. Because right now the applicant may or may not buy the adjacent property, but he's got an application in it. We're saying we're gonna sell it to him. But if in fact that original deal fell apart,
So I think, just to be clear, so this is just a portion of the MR lot, right? It's a huge MR lot. Council's just approving disposal of a portion of it. So it would never be a lot unto itself unless it was subdivided out by the municipality, which we would not do. The only way it could become part of that lot is if the owner of the adjacent lot makes the subdivision application to consolidate that portion.
Is that a little bit more clear for you, Councillor Chabot? Okay. Councillor Alt?
Just so I'm not quite clear. So if that lot won't get subdivided until they have purchased the lot in question. After that purchase goes through, then they will apply to subdivide and consolidate. Okay.
You're good? Okay, so is there any further discussion or any other questions for Mr. Schwader on this? If not, I think I'm looking for a motion. Councillor Hutchinson.
Be it resolved that council disposes 0.54 acres of MR land on Lot 2 MR, Lot 1, Plan 8322979 for the price of $40,000 plus GST.
Thank you for your motion. Do we have any discussion? Councillor Chabot?
can that be to the adjacent landowner on that motion?
Is it clear enough, or is that necessary? I'm okay with it the way it is.
Okay. So if there's no further discussion on the motion, we'll call that to a vote. Those in favor? And none opposed? That is carried. Thank you, Mr. Schwader. Okay, and we are moving ahead to new business, 9.1 RFD Library Board County Appointments. Mr. Kraus, if you want to speak on that, please.
Yep, thank you, Deputy Mayor. So just a little background, so the Rocky Municipal Library was created by the town of Rocky Mountain House. So under the Libraries Act, it is up to our council to appoint members to the board. Under our agreement with Clearwater County, because they cost share in the library, they're allowed board members onto the library board. But those appointments have to be by town council, being Rocky Municipal Library. So the county has come forward with their recommended appointments, so it's just up to council to appoint them to the board.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any discussion or any concerns or anything with the names mentioned? Councillor Chabot?
If you allow me, Deputy Mayor, make the motion.
Sure.
Okay, let it be resolved, the council appoint the following members to the Rocky Mountain House Municipal Public Library Board. Public member Lori Pratt for 3-year term effective January 1st, 2024 to December 31, 2026. Councillor Sidney Graham for a 1-year term effective October 24th, 2023. And then public member Deborah Scales for a term effective December 5th, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2024.
Thank you for your motion. Do we have any discussion on the motion? I will call that to a vote. Those in favor and none opposed, that is carried. Thank you. Okay, so now we are on 9.2 RFD Bylaw 2023/14 Council Procedural Bylaw. Mr. Kraus.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So council reviewed the procedural bylaw at the last committee of the whole meeting and requested some amendments to the draft. Excuse me. So I'll just go through the amendments that council requested. So if you go to section 4B, or sorry, 4BI, that is changing the committee or the governance and priority committee meeting to 1 p.m., where the original draft had 6 p.m. And then if if you go to section 9. Council asked for clarification of who can speak when the chair, permitted by the chair, where we've added in when administration or a delegate may address council, so it clarifies it's not the public. And then if you go to section 15. Council just wanted a clause in there, if every council member has an opportunity to provide input, but just clarification only if they desire to. So the words, if they desire, if they so desire, has been included in the sentence. And then the next section is 41D. And that's just clarity that in the Governance and Priority Committee meeting, comments weren't recorded, but only motions, and just clarification in the minutes. So that just takes out the question of live streaming. So the concern there. And then if you go to Schedule A, Council wanted to ensure that committee reports are heard over the summer months when there is no Governance and Priority Committee meeting. So we amended Schedule A to include those for the council meetings in July, August, and December. And I believe that's the only amendments council requested. So.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kraus. So is council satisfied with how the bylaw is worded and what it states now? Okay. So, looking for a motion on this, and I do see recommended alternative is to give first, second, and third reading today. I don't see any issue with that. So if council is okay with doing it all today, we can do that. Councillor Phillips.
If there's no further discussion, I'd like to make a motion to give first reading to procedural bylaw 2023/14.
Thank you. Any discussion? I'll call it to a vote. Those in favor? None opposed. That is carried. Someone would like to make, Councillor Schippel.
I'll give it second reading. And so I'll make the motion that we resolve the council give second reading to the procedural bylaw 2023/14.
Thank you. Any discussion? None, so I'll call that to a vote. Those in favor? And none opposed, that's carried.
Deputy Mayor, just for clarification of council, so if council gives all three readings today, your December 19th meeting would start at 9 a.m.
Oh, okay.
So just so council's clear on that.
Okay. Is that okay for everyone? Councillor Alt?
I was just gonna make a motion that be resolved that council give unanimous consent to proceed to the third reading to procedure of bylaw 2023/14.
Thank you. Any discussion? Councillor Hutchinson.
Just given the information Mr. Kraus gave us, is that sufficient for staff to regroup to have a meeting at 9? Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you. So I'll call that to a vote. Those in favor of the motion, none opposed. That is carried. And we have one more. Maybe I'll make the last motion if that's okay. Be it resolved that council give third reading to procedural bylaw 2023/14. Any discussion on the motion? We'll call that to a vote. Those in favor, none opposed, and that is carried. Thank you. Okay, so we don't have any correspondence for action today. We have quite a few items under correspondence for information. Is there anything in there from 11.1 to 11.14 that anyone wishes to speak on from council? No? Okay. Oh, Councillor Schippel?
Yes, if I could, please. the letter for Canada Post, we talk about 11.4.
11.4, okay.
So it's interesting, we got a response back from Canada Post already. That was pretty impressive. The question is that we've talked about the industrial area, but there's a package in this area here, a zone in this area that doesn't have mail as well, due to the proximity to the old post office building. And so I'm wondering if we're having a discussion with them and sending a letter, if it can also talk about residential mail in the central core here, as well as in the industrial area. So I think the letter that was sent was right on the money. But I think we just need to as well, if we can, while we're talking to those guys, if we can address the residential area around the old post office building.
So Deputy Mayor, administration is actually going back and forth with Canada Post right now on this issue. But we can include that for them to take a look at also.
That sounds great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anything else? Okay, looking for a motion then. Counselor Phillips?
I'll make a motion to accept items 11.1 through 11.14 as information.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? I will call that to a vote. Those in favor and none opposed, that is carried. Moving ahead, we are now at 12.1 Mayor's Report. Mayor Beach is not here today, so looking for a motion to accept as information. Councillor Phillips.
I'll make a motion to accept the mayor's report as information.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Call it to a vote. Those in favor? None opposed. That is carried. Councillor reports. Councillor All, do you have anything you'd like to point out in your report?
No, my time has been pretty preoccupied lately, so.
Okay, thank you. I don't have anything either to point out unless anyone has any questions. Okay, Councillor Phillips, anything you'd like to point out from your report?
Yes, just I did attach to my report a couple of brochures from Community Futures. So they actually are on there with QR codes that will provide additional information. And also for the Parkland Regional Library Board, I was re-elected back on the executive committee again for the Parkland Regional Library Board.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Shippold, anything you'd like to mention or any questions? No?
No, if anybody has any questions of me, I'd be willing to listen.
Okay, think we're okay. And Councillor Hutchinson, anything you'd like to go over in your report?
For some reason, this seemed like it was so long ago I did my report. I forgot my notes with me from the Cape meeting. I had kind of filled everybody in through an email. The question came up, or I presented the question on some of the handouts they had that Rocky still is not showing up on any of their promotional materials. And it was discussed that they had done a rebranding prior to us joining, so all that didn't include us on it, but they were to be looking into that. Conversation with MLA Dreeshen and his staff, and Mr. Kraus had forwarded a letter on asking, in response, for them to respond to what we sent on the functionality study through Mr. Nixon. They're doing more updates with promotion material, all those kinds of things, and there's supposed to be more things coming in the new year, so I hope at least we get put on the map through Cape. And that's about it for now.
Okay, thank you. So I'm looking for a motion to accept. Councillor Hutchinson.
I'll make the motion to accept council reports as information.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? I'll call that to a vote. Those in favor and none opposed, that is carried. Moving along here, we have the action list. Mr. Kraus?
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. So we're just going through, Minor Football Association, well, council's receiving information today, and that will be discussion for council tomorrow. Code of Conduct Bylaw, that's again scheduled for the January 9th Governance and Priority Committee. And then the last one can actually be struck out because TELUS has been into the RCMP building or is in there now. Yes, so we should be set to go.
Sounds great. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions on the action report? Counselor Hutchinson? Oh. Nope. Okay, looking for a motion. Counselor Alt,
I'll make the motion to accept the action list for December 5th as information.
thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Call that to a vote. Those in favor? None opposed. That's carried. Do we have any administrative inquiries today? Counselor Phillips?
Not sure this is administrative inquiry or not, but just for next year with, you know, there's AB Munis and RMA and AAPG and ARPA and RCA and FCSSAA and there's so many different conventions.
Yeah.
Is it possible that we can get a list collated and that we know when they are and when they're happening and what's going on so that we can schedule our council time appropriately and not have, you know, too many go to one conference and not enough to another, just so that we're all aware of what conferences are available and what times they are, that's all.
That's a good idea. Sounds okay. Okay, thank you. Any other administrative inquiries today? Okay. Do we have any notices of motion today? And we don't have any closed session, so I will go ahead and adjourn the meeting at